I'll get my clothes out of
Hello, everyone. It's Lachlan, the National Brand Ambassador of Scotch Malt Whisky Society, here with Adam and Trish from Fever Tree. And we do have Alex Moores joining us momentarily. Here he is, ready to go. We're
Ready to
talking about,
go.
in the
yeah,
nick of time.
perfect timing. Ready for our refreshing summer concoctions.
Beautiful.
How is everyone today?
Right.
Keen.
Yeah, yeah,
Summery. The summer's out
summary.
today.
Yeah. Well, considerably more timid than yesterday, but
Yeah. Although I believe Sydney got the full heat today.
oh yeah. I'm very sorry for that. I had to paint a room in that sweltering heat yesterday. It was brutal. Yeah.
Savage. We should have done this yesterday. You could have
Should have
enjoyed
done it
night
yesterday.
moles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only
Arguably, that
highball.
would have been smarter. Should we dive right in? So, do we want to start off with the 5.112?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Trish, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me on this glorious whiskey tasting.
Oh, it's always a treat. Just a nice fever tree
Oh my god, thank you so much.
with the lowland whiskey.
So I
Lachlan,
confused
what do you
myself,
reckon?
team. The reason I was late just before we kick off, I've now got like a massive array of glassware. I've got like massive tumblers, and I've got like highball making things. So I'm ready to go. So put in there, audience, what glassware you're using.
You kind of seem
Absolutely.
like the ghost of the vaults because you're fading in and out and like
Yeah, on
flickering.
the old image of the vaults, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ghost of JGT.
Well,
Alrighty.
I think it's very great thing to start off with something that's it's called sweet serenity and teasing musk, something so gentle and right for this sunny afternoon we're having. I just opened my window for the first time today because I sit in the afternoon sun here and bake.
Who needs a sauna?
Mm. Oh wow!
I have to say, I've been really loving these high age statement fives. Like the last few we've gotten in are just spectacular.
Oh yeah, they're a distillery that I mean they do cop a lot of flack as well. From the
Greater
whiskey
public.
community. Yeah, just because the core range has been quite hard to appreciate, or there's not been a lot of what everyone would be interested in. But some of the ones that I've seen over the last, when I say the last 5-6 years, have been absolutely spectacular. Real
Mm.
juicy, bready.
Oh,
It's
I
got that
love
lovely
this.
origin story too, because famously Pip never wanted to do it, and iconically being number five, obviously the arm was twisted pretty quick. So I reckon I'd put that down to Ann Dana or someone convinced him to. But he always said it was like soap. I never get a heap of soap off Auchentoshan, but then I wasn't drinking it back when he was having 1965 distilled Auchentoshan. So
I was getting it back then. Well, I was getting it when I first started in the industry. Soapy, cardboardy kind of character to a lot of the spirits. But for such an early code and one that is quite challenging for a lot of members, very impressive that we've got such an early code for it.
Also, it's only the 112th cast we've gotten in those 43
well,
years.
exactly, yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And really good too
So,
when you see, like you were saying there, Lachie, I mean, cast strength version of this too. Sort of, if triple
mm,
distilled and it's 40% is a different beast to triple distilled and cast strength.
yeah, and look, there's some famous distilleries that have similar notes that you would find that are so very well respected, like that soapy and also that cardboardy element. They get found in other distilleries that are highly respected, but they don't get spoken about as well in the same vein. So I feel like it's just something that just keeps getting passed on rather than actually understood properly. If
It's
that
sort of got
makes
like a
sense.
Especially
casting
Scottish,
sugar.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
reluctant to change their methods. Yeah, these old statement ones, as you put them at them, are much more fruit bomb than I've seen the expressions in OB or even other IBs.
Mm. Oh. Do you reckon it's worth trying a little drop or two? of a mixer with these ones?
I'm doing it.
I think so. Absolutely.
What do you guys think? What do you think you would go best? I mean, we've
I
all
was
got the
distracting myself.
ginger ale and the blood orange soda. I've also got a bit of soda water kicking about, but
I
Drew
reckon.
McKinney just made a great note. Sorry, Trish.
No, go for it.
So to say, Drew McKinney just made a great note. Like if you want to get it up to Madeira cake,
Yep.
which is a fair call. Sorry, Trish, you were saying.
No, I reckon we dive in and go a bit crazy and start with the blood orange soda for this one. I get this
Let's do it.
absolutely amazing, fruity notes. It reminds me of like the Cadbury chocolate with fruit and nut in it as well. So I
Yep.
want to see what happens to that when we add a bit of this blood orange soda. Could get a bit wild, so
It is nice and tart as well. It's not too sweet. I think it's going to work super well.
I've always really loved this Italian blood orange soda. Adam and I did have a bit of a chat a little while ago about some cocktails that could be utilized, some highball style cocktails, and I've had one sitting in the back of my mind to be used with a whiskey from our deep, rich, and dried fruits profile that uses the Italian blood orange soda, but turn it into a spider with chocolate ice cream. So whiskey, chocolate ice cream,
delicious.
this Italian blood orange soda. It's just a Jaffa spider.
Jaffa, that's what I'm thinking. And already on the nose with this blood orange soda, I'm definitely getting that Jaffa vibe. And so, because this blood orange soda uses like the beautiful orange peels from blood oranges from Sicily. So it's got this almost candied orange flavor without being sickly sweet. It's quite low in sugar, this soda as well. So interested to see what you guys think.
Definitely Jaffa. Like Jaffa. I was enjoying a Terry's orange chocolate. Well, a few of them over the weekend, and this is just reminiscent of that.
I love a Terry's chocolate orange.
They're
So
hard to
good.
beat. They're hard to beat.
Yeah, unless you're beating them on the table to break them up.
Then they're nice and easy to beat.
So easy to beat them. Yeah.
That's what I enjoy.
So Trish, with the sodas, are there any? When Fever Tree, I guess, come up with a flavor, do you think this will work with a certain type of spirit or a certain tasting notes, or like what's the process of chicken or egg sort of thing?
Absolutely. It always is spirit first because Fever Tree was based on the idea of making great spirits taste even better. You don't want to have an amazing spirit like we're tasting through today and then put something like cheap and artificial and cloying in there. It just ruins the whole experience. And so it's always with the spirit in mind first. And this blood orange soda was created around the purpose of more that spritz occasion, so vermouths and maybe gins and things like that. But by happy accident, the whiskey world has absolutely fallen in love with this one because it does pull out some really amazing subtle nuances from the whiskey. And so everyone's drinking this one with whiskey. So, happy accident.
Very happy.
But it goes with whiskey.
Yeah.
One in the eye for the purists. Yeah, we like that.
But it works so well. I mean, Betty marmalade jam with soda. That's another great one.
Yeah.
It all sort of comes back to that orange. I know it's blood orange, but it really does transform it into that.
Well, I mean, blood orange is so quintessential for a lot of aperitifs as well. So it works really well when you mix with most spirits because a lot of, I guess, classic cocktails with any spirit are based around those aperitifs that are citrus heavy.
Yeah,
citrus and spice heavy.
Amaro and things like that coming in. And
exactly.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned Amaro because this mix also has wormwood in it. Probably where you're getting that herbal sort of bitter note from it. And wormwood is obviously the key botanical to be vermouth or absinthe. So it's definitely great as an aperitif. So good pick out there, Lachie.
Lachie, it's like you have experience in this.
It's like you're a bartender.
No, it's my first time. It's my first day. I'm actually really, really enjoying this with that blood orange soda.
I've enjoyed this neat and with the soda. Like it's a very versatile dram.
Same.
Yeah.
I got my ratios wrong, I think. I'm really enjoying it, but I reckon I'd go heavier on the whiskey and a little bit less on the soda, and I'd be bang on what I would have wanted.
Well,
I'm gonna
this is
top
the
it up.
funny thing about those ratios, right? And Trish, you can probably talk to this more, if not, well, considerably more than I can. But the mixing of sodas to spirit is more of a personal thing. But usually you aim for very much. Well, I always did like a 1/4 of 1/4 spirit, 3/4 mixer, right? And that's what you try and aim for to minimize the mixer taking over. But there's also ones where I've done 1/3 to 2/3. There's ones that I've done half equal parts. It's just purely depending on what you're trying to create. I think this one you'd want to use less of mixer to just let the spirit kind of do much more of the work there. But Trish, what do you think?
I absolutely agree with that. And when we're, talking like from a bartending perspective, like the highball cocktail, yeah, it's exactly right. It's 1 part spirit to 3 parts mixer. And that's, the golden ratio for, a refreshing drink. Like you say, Lachie, you're not going to overshadow the spirit that way. If you're using a premium mixer like Fever Tree, of course. But again, yeah, it's true. It is a personal preference. So, yeah, I normally go 2 parts mixer to 1 part spirit. And it just, really depends. Like if you're drinking cask strength whiskey, maybe you could have a little bit more mixer. But, I mean, if you guys are drinking whiskey neat often, it could be a little bit too diluted for you. So
I think that's it. I've gone half and half, and I'm pretty happy with the balance now. But
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did probably around half and half, and I've enjoyed it. Absolutely loved it.
Great.
no, yeah,
And
very nice.
I think I
Sorry.
tried to do half and half, and I spilled a little bit because my half was a very tiny amount of both. But it was still nice, and I enjoyed it. So
Fabulous. Love that. But it does opens up the whiskey, and it does make the whiskey, I guess more smashable. So I think that's why nowadays you will see a lot of bigger whiskey companies particularly really driving that highball serve, because you drink them quicker and people drink more of them, and it's more of a social drinking occasion, I feel. And so there's nothing wrong with mixing whiskey, but like all things, you got to drink it how you like it is the most
exactly, and responsibly.
and responsible.
I mean, I've had some of the most ostentatious whiskies in highballs or in any which way I can and can foresee in doing. I just love to have fun with it and enjoy it in the right way possible. As long as it tastes good, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
And especially about 6 years ago, I got pretty heavily chastised for doing so. So it just spurred me on, really.
Well, it's
Were
like,
those people over 80? Because I feel like that would make sense. Otherwise,
No, they were under
weird
30
place.
for sure.
Weird place. Yeah. I think I know where
Under
that place
30.
was, so I'll stop talking there.
sorry, we'll keep it locked
No,
in
that
the
wasn't. Yeah.
This isn't being recorded or anything, is it? We're fine. We're fine.
No. Well, it's like Matt Bailey used to say. He probably still says it now. I just can't hear him. But he used to say that if a chef is going to use the best possible ingredients when cooking a dish, why should a bartender not use the best possible ingredients when making a cocktail or a highball or something? So why should you not use a very expensive and full flavored whiskey? Other than
Exactly.
the purest view of it. But if it's a really good whiskey, then you should use it because it's a really good ingredient.
Yep.
Well, that's the perfect time for the term puritanical.
Puritanical.
Because it's just
Is that a new gin?
Pure botanical.
Yeah. It's just it's antiquated, that whole ideology of, you can't mix whiskey, you can't take single cask whiskey and mix it with anything, you can't take single malt whiskey and mix it with anything. It's antiquated. So I'm glad to see that that's also spreading globally now, where people are treating it as a component where we can chase flavor and chase those experiences rather than chasing this ideology that was purely built out of marketing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's more refreshing, isn't it, when you're drinking something like a big whiskey, with a mixer and some ice on like a hot day. You can take your favorite whiskey into the summer. It doesn't just have to be when the sun's gone down and it's a little bit cooler, I love that.
Well,
Absolutely.
I was speaking to this in our last virtual tasting, Adam, where every Christmas I have my highball whiskey. I get one bottle of it from the SWS, and that's my Christmas Day bottle, and all I drink with that is highballs. It's all it goes into. It's what I drink all day. From the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed, that's what I'm drinking. And it's great. I have the best time. That's my little celebration.
Love it. Any members on who experimented with that with the dry ginger, let us know. I did one, and I think definitely we made the right call the first time for my palate. It's interesting, but they're a bit separate still. When I drink it with the dry ginger, I get the dry ginger and the mixer and the whiskey, but they don't integrate like they did with the blood orange one. So I think the right call was the blood orange, but let us know, team.
Yeah. Right.
Great.
Lachie, you want to take this one?
Yes, I was about to. Sorry, Dov, we haven't actually had the opportunity for Adam and I to dive into it together, so we will get to it eventually. It is still sitting here in my house.
Oh, Dov.
But I will let you know as soon as we do. That might be you and I tomorrow, Adam.
Yeah, bring it in. Have dessert and lunch at the same time.
Sounds good.
Do we also have a little shipping bonus on tonight, by any chance?
We do.
We do now because it's been announced.
We do. Surprise, everyone. Just for
so that's
the
it there live on the screen.
Use the code Summer Sips and complimentary shipping just for tonight and tomorrow. So if you like anything you tried tonight, or have had your eye on something on the store, it's a good opportunity to go for it. So Summer Sips at checkout.
Australia only terms and conditions apply.
Summer Sips, not supper.
No,
sips.
not Supper Sipper, which is next. But before Supper Sipper, what do we have, Lachie?
We have 60.31. This is Sweetly Modern.
I could drink that blood orange. I've got blood orange in a glass. I could just have this in all the gaps. I'll just have this.
Well, palate cleanser.
It's very good.
I have frequently had bottles of that Italian blood orange soda at home.
Very nice.
Very frequently.
Oh, yeah.
Sweetly Modern. What does that mean?
Well, that's a good question. I cannot answer that.
No, I can't from the notes or the thinking really either.
It's the opposite of spicy retro.
Because, modern whiskey tends to be, much more creamy, gentle, a little bit more youthful, but good balance of oak and spirit, right? If you think of certain distilleries like that have really achieved it well, like Ardnamurk and Wolfburn, Isle of Harris.
Yeah, nickname and stuff.
Modern, Holyrood, like really good spirit, really good timber. Let's marriage that. But this is coming from a distillery that's got a bit more history to it. So, what are we to expect?
It's very nice on the nose, though. It's interesting too, Adam, when you're saying about the dots or the dot of the 112 casks of 5, because it is 60 to be fair, but only 31. We don't see as many 60s as other codes through.
No, bit of a manic situation, but
Oh wow! Every time I've tasted this in the last little while, I've just been absolutely blown away by it. It's a distillery that you don't see a lot of, so when you do see it in this fashion, it's really cool to see the depth of character it does have. And it's always got these two things that I find on it, which is pineapple jam and honey and butter on crumpets.
Yeah, I'm with you because I was at bread and jam, and then I was still deciding, but I'm 100% there. Yeah.
Yeah, pineapple jam, honey and butter on crumpets, and it's just this real fun, funky, savory thing going on.
It's definitely a bready breakfast bread sort of vibe, isn't it? Yeah.
But it speaks to the distillery so heavily. And look, we talked last last virtual tasting about the romance of Scottish whiskey. Adam, I think you'll remember how we talked about how, you know, the romance of Scotch whiskey is that it's beautiful landscapes with these ridiculously industrial looking buildings.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just find this distillery very funny to that extent, because there is won't let me show it. You guys keep chatting. I'll work this out.
All right.
What are we thinking, team? I was originally going to say, well, until we get to spicy and dry, stay away from the ginger. But I don't know. That's got enough. I reckon that might carry ginger.
I'm with you. Yeah. I was thinking ginger as well.
Yeah. And it is 60.1. Yeah, I mean, I know they're all cask strength, but I reckon depending on the ratio, this'll work. I'm going to go a bit of ginger, I think.
I think so as well.
All right,
and not to also
ginger.
make it more difficult for everyone who doesn't have them in front of them, because, you know, we haven't given everyone all the sodas that you make at Fever Tree. But I think your raspberry soda would go perfectly with this.
That sounds delicious.
It'd hit the jam note like right where you'd want it. I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think that'd be bang on.
Oh, but actually, there's nothing wrong with this on the nose, at least, because that pineapple turns into like candied pineapple, like the bar, you know, like dried pineapple that you get on cocktails and things.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Absolutely.
Or like, a little bit of tepache kind of thing to it as well, that fermented pineapple.
Yep.
Yum.
Well, Betty reckons it goes great with ginger.
Woo.
Pretty much what we're all feeling.
It's not going to let me show the thing for some reason. Just
That's
won't
right.
do it.
It's all right. In another 10 years, when we get another cask 60.32, we'll show everyone the distillery there. Alex, when was do you remember the last time we got a 60 in Australia?
I sort of knew you were going to ask. Not really. I think we actually had. I think we had one reasonably recently. I'm going to say there were like one or two that spattered around over the last, say, couple of years. But then there was a massive gap.
There's been between 2 and 3, I'd say, because the first one I saw would have been 2020.
Yeah.
And I started working alongside the SWS and partner of ours in 2014, and I had not seen a 60 until 2020.
Yeah. And I don't recall Australia, someone prove me wrong on this because I love it, but I don't recall Australia getting a bold code 60. So that would take out between 2008 and 2017 at least. So yes, few and far between. But there was a bit of a glut at the start, or 5 years in to the society, and then a slowdown.
We have had a few recently in the last 5 years, and we will probably see a few more coming forward, I'd say, based on the fact that this would have been filled the way that the society fills things. They would have bought spirit and matured it out at the warehousing that we have. So
with that age, definitely, yep.
Yeah. More than likely, I would say. I'd give it a good 90% chance. So we might see some more coming through.
Yep.
Yeah.
So interesting too when you look at it. It just probably depends on, there would have been an ownership thing or an agreement thing at one point in time. We get members all the time, going, when will we see it? Or when was the last time, which is a fun question. And it's like, sometimes it just depends on who owned what distillery at what time and who was shaking hands at that time and whether we could get any.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things that the agreements that have been held between different companies in Scotland just challenge the way that certain companies can operate. Like a lot of people might not also realize that certain distilleries are also part owned by other companies, that they might be said that they're owned by, say, Diageo, but they're part owned by Edrington or whatever it might look like. It's a very funny little thing that creates all these unique relationships independently that, unfortunately, we as a society have to navigate through.
That works in both ways of society.
It does. There's upsides too.
Yeah.
Glenmorangie's legendary ownership period was very good for a couple of particular distillery codes.
Yeah.
Might maybe have got them otherwise. So yeah, always swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, I saw about 33 of those come through.
Oh, very good, very good. Trish, what are your thoughts on this marriage of spirit and mixer?
I think it is a delicious combination. I really love the way the ginger really does what it's supposed to, which is act as a flavor enhancer. And it pulls out all the things that I love in the whiskey, which is fantastic. And a little note from Betty, which I think is pretty spot on. Loves it, but it's a bit sweet. And normally when you are mixing highballs, yeah, you want to add like a little bit of citrus or something to brighten it up as well. And so I would do, maybe a little bit of lemon or a little bit of lime with this. I think would really pull back that sweetness for sure.
Yeah. And you probably don't want a huge amount of ginger. You want it on ice as well. Especially when making highballs. I always, the way I was taught by one of my early bar managers was you add your spirit and you cool it down with your ice. So you add it to a chill glass, you add your ice to the top, and you need big chunks of ice, not little chips of ice. You need big chunks of ice. Cool it down as much as you can, because that will also slow down your dilution. So you end up adding less of your mixer, but it means you can really balance the flavor as well between the two components. And I think this would do really well with that exact technique as well. Really integrate that spirit and the ginger, and then adding like a lime twist or something to really dry it out.
Absolutely. And ice is nice. We love ice in the bar world. But yeah, it does chill it down, and it makes like all the flavors like kind of shrink a little bit. And particularly that sweetness. So the warmer your drink, the more you're going to discern the sweetness in the mixer, particularly as well.
For sorry, mate. I was just going to say, for Betty's comment too, and I agree with everything that's said, because I've just gone back to that whiskey neat in a second glass, and it's all just developed into like Jersey caramel, sweetened up into confectionery now, which wasn't my initial notes, which were the same as Lachie. So I think that's coming through with the mixer, and it is quite a sweet whiskey that's doing that. Yeah.
I actually started to get some woody notes with the dried ginger ale mixer towards the end. Like it still had that heavy ginger sweetness, but I think as you were saying, both of you, I think it needed a bit of ice just to relax everything and dull down that ginger intensity.
I just found it needs to be brought together personally. So with a bit of ice, I reckon that'll happen. It'll kind of create something a bit more homogenized, which sometimes is a bad thing, but sometimes is needed.
Yeah.
But the one thing I got taught also really early on was the way our palate operates with temperature. Okay, so our palate's calibrated to work with things that are room temperature, something that is the same temperature as us, or what we're experiencing in the outside world. If you have things too cold or too hot, it really limits the scope of flavor your palate can understand. So it really narrows it down. Which, I mean, these things have also been changed and challenged a lot recently, but it's why we like to say we drink coffee hot and beer cold, because lukewarm, they're not too great. But that only relates to bad coffee and bad beer. But you do understand a lot more flavor at that temperature, right? At our core temperature.
Oh, you're dead right, mate. And especially if you're like, we're all in sort of, with the liquids, the wine industry has probably been ahead of that for years on going, no, there's like an absolute temperature that this particular wine has to be at for it to do what we want it to do. And they're like degrees matter. So 100%. I think whiskey's a little more forgiving on like the range, but yeah, it's still important.
When I was at Whiskey and Elman, I would play around a lot with temperature with whiskey, and we would chill whiskeys for some things, and we'd play around with that every now and then. But for this, I really think the temperature would matter. I think having it a little bit cooler would make it just a bit more cohesive.
I put ice in, Betty, and it really helps on the bringing the sweet down. Or do what Trish suggested, and if you've got some other accompaniment, which is like a citrus element to sour out some of the sweet, do that too, which I can't. So let us know.
I just put a bit of ice in. Let's have a crack.
Also, if anyone tried it with the blood orange, again, let us know, because what
Oh, yeah, I'm
we're
going to do that.
combinations that we're doing are not explicitly what you have to do. It's all about mixing and drinking it your own way. So feel free to go against the grain, as they say.
That
Choose
is-
your
They being me.
adventure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
In
a
that
very,
case, I
very
should've-
nice, neat whiskey as well, I've got to say. That's really going well.
I should have gotten some chocolate ice cream for tonight, but I didn't. So giving that a crack later on.
You've said coffee, Lachie. That would make a nice affogato, this whiskey. Might go for that later on.
I said
I
chocolate,
won't
but
have it
sure.
Well, I was thinking about pouring it over ice cream, and I was on a whole thing.
Ice cream. Oh my god.
Alex is 3 minutes behind in the chat. So you mentioned
Yeah,
coffee
I always am.
before
Always am.
catching up to it. It's all good.
I'm already drunk, mate. I'm always
Should
already
we
drunk.
move on?
That's the secret.
Supper sipper.
Let's do it.
I reckon it's time for supper. Yeah,
Yep.
rock and roller.
Now we've had dessert, yes?
That's
Now
how
we
we do
should
it.
we should nip this in the bud now while we have the attention. There are 2 casts that have been named Supper Sipper. We know this.
What?
Yes.
Oh, it never happens. It never happens.
Alex, you should write an article about this.
Link will be in the chat.
Look, yes, we are aware that it shouldn't have happened so close together, but it has happened. One is the burn supper bottling, which is the 88.32, and one is the one we have in front of us, which is the 26.208.
So the story is the reason this was refeatured in January Outturn, because it was actually an August Outturn release, I believe.
It was,
is
yes.
because we were getting every now and then, as you know, our whiskies are single cask, and even if they're not single cask, they're always small batch at the very least. So they're always limited, never to be repeated. But every now and then, mystery cases are found, and we're sent repeats of whiskies that we've already released. This happens very rarely, but I saw on the shipment that we were getting more of the Supper Sip, and I'm like, fantastic. You know, let's put it up again this year. It was a different Supper Sipper because I was told the wrong code and the right name, and then when it arrived, I was given the right code and the right name, and so then I learned we're actually getting the burn Supper Sipper. So you know what? It's just one of those things where
That's a tongue twister and a half. This is why codes.
Yeah,
Codes are
this
the
is why
important bit, everybody.
codes matter. Exactly right, because there's a difference between 88.32 and what's this 26.28. So very different Supper
208, yeah.
Sippers. So 80.32 is coming out this Friday. Supper Sipper 26.208 is available right now, and we're tasting it right now, and it's delicious.
Supper sipper is a super sipper for supper.
Because I've had my glass poured for about 8 minutes now, and it's transformed over those 8 minutes from sort of like a real biscuity, woody note to a little bit of like maple ice cream sweetness at about the 5 minute mark, and now it's back to like a really tobacco fragrant, woody note just on the nose. So it's just a versatile spirit and a really traditionally textural one.
Not good call on
and
those
this
notes.
this distillery is famous for that versatility, that evolution of its spirit character. Anyway, you know, it is just a very big, dense, and to give it away, waxy spirit.
Yeah.
Citrusy, honey, waxy, and you know, just tons of. It takes on so much character to it, and is forgiving to a lot of timber.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, I can't think of. I've had a amazing one in bourbon, amazing one in full maturation sherry, amazing ones in a few mixes of others. So yeah, it does sort of not take to one particular X content of a cask. Right. Yeah.
This one's 61.5%.
That doesn't Adam? Just have I wouldn't. It's not smoke, but it's just like with the charring of the barrel treatment. I expect it's got a touch of like something
Barbecue
really
sort
charred.
of.
Yeah, like a charred oak
get-
component makes it really nice.
It's for me. It's like if you're like making a curry or something, and you're roasting your fennel seeds or caraway seeds in the pan beforehand. That's what I'm getting off it.
Yeah.
As soon as you said curry, I was like, that's bang on.
Bit of charcoal sort of thing in there, like that slightly charcoaled.
But you're roasting your spices. It's not like actual smoke. It's not burn. It's just it's this really roasted, spicy character coming from it. And
I was actually going to. No, go on. Sorry.
I was going to reference the conversation we had with a few people at Whiskey Abbey, Adam, where we had a whiskey that people kept saying it's peated when we know for a fact that it's not.
Yeah.
But it's just a dense, spicy character of the spirit makes people think there's a smoke element to it, because smoke and spice can be confused quite easily and can be quite related, because they can be in things like curry, like we're saying, these roasted spices, these dense and also quite challenging flavor profiles that we don't. Our body kind of goes, oh wait, is that too much for me? And that's why certain people love spice and some people don't. Some people love smoky whiskey and some people don't. They just their body is trying to tell them something.
Definitely. My comment on spicy and dry would be, some of the feedback we get is like, oh, I'd never buy a spicy and dry, because I had one and it was like all like seriously wood spice. It's not my flavor profile. But remember, everyone out there listening, flavor profiles are pretty diverse even in themselves, and you get like spicy and dry that is just that little bit more of actual spice, but not really wood drying spice. It's all the spices Lachie's talking about, versus you get your heavy recharred casks, which are like dry and spicy from the wood. You kind of have to go off the notes. Don't go off the flavor profile with spicy and dry, because the breadth is huge.
But again, it's also a personal thing, because spicy and dry is one of my personal favorite flavor profiles. That, the oily and coastals, and then just outside of that, it's more often than not just cask selections, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying, on the palate for this one, honestly, I'm getting like a juicy fruit sort of note. Well, not juicy fruit like the bubblegum, but like just a melange of juicy fruits, but it's got a very dry finish on it. Like, it's sort of,
I'm with you.
Or those icy poles, the twisters, it's like those, or the twisters, like the pineapples and berries and
with the multiple flavored little
and
they
that's what I get on this.
Yeah, I think this is like bang on the flavor profile though, because it's got a really nice spice level. It's a more savoury dram for me, definitely on the nose at least, and then it is got that nice little bit of oak, but it's not like it's not over oaked. It's just there to kind of remind you that it's a nice barrel matured whiskey. Did we say, Trish, what we're doing with this?
I was about to ask. Yeah. Trish, what do you think?
Well, you know what? Betty's my gal, because she's recommended the ginger again, and I agree. I strongly agree with that, and I love that you're getting so much flavour in these whiskies. Obviously a lot is influenced by barrel aging, but with the Fever Tree Ginger Ale, like, we use 3 different gingers to pull different flavours, and so I always like to compare or contrast the flavours that are in the gingers. So we have one from the Ivory Coast, which is really like lemongrassy and bright and fresh and zesty. And so that ginger, I think, would go so well with this whiskey, which is like quite green and, kind of almost herbaceous. And then we have one ginger from Cochin in India in there, which is really quite chocolatey and rich. And so you can see how that worked really well with the last one. And then we have a really earthy ginger from Nigeria. And so, playing off one of those gingers, I think, is an absolute win. So, yeah, this ginger with that, this supper sipper.
tongue twister.
I think would be, just absolutely delightful. So I'm eager to give that a try.
I've done both. I'm doing it.
I love it. Yeah, comparative tasting. Get around it.
Ooh, blood orange works pretty well on the nose, I got to say.
Okay.
I think Drew McKinney said peach, plums, lavender, citrus harmonizes for the blood orange, and herb and spice lifts the spice. Exciting.
Bang on, mate. I agree. They're both actually good, but they've become 2 very different drinks now.
Yeah. Also, just a quick shout out to Drew McKinney, our Canberra ambassador. If you're tuning in from ACT, keep an eye out, because we've got some events coming up unannounced, but Drew has been absolutely killing it lately with the last few events. So keep an eye out for that because it's always a treat attending one of his events. Continue, Lachie. Sorry.
I was about to say I'm very keen to go to one of his events. So
Yeah, Lachie will be around.
Keep your eye on the sky, because that's the other place Drew might be at any given moment of time.
That's true.
For him
Absolute
soaring
ace.
around. Yep.
I've got this great comment here from Dob as well. The spicy and dry is typically one of his least favorites, but the Prowling the Undergrowth from Denmark, the Danish whiskey, which it was such a unique
Premium
whiskey because it
label.
was also smoky. That particular bottling.
Did you get smoke on that bottling? Did you?
Yeah, it was because it was the malt itself was smoked with a local brush, like a local scrub from the area.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
The thing I remember from that dram in the best way possible is like cheese and crackers. Sort
From
of thing.
Quite
memory-
savoury. It was very savoury.
Yeah.
from memory, it was juniper brush.
Juniper brush. All right.
Yeah, from memory.
Oh,
Yeah,
Does
it
have
was
some
really
flavors.
cool. But yeah, I remember that one incredibly well, and it was phenomenal, and just got left a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like it's
yeah.
gone. I feel like it's gone off the website now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so that says
Some of the
it.
New World, it's that sad thing, Paul Johns, they are like some
Paul
of the
Johns
most
are phenomenal.
diverse flavour profiles you can find. Well, not diverse in themselves, but different from classic whiskey that you can find. And they're so good, a lot of them, but it's New World. It's a barrier a lot of people, if they're used to Scottish or they're used to Australian, if they live here, it's kind of like, I don't know about Indian or Danish or Swedish or whatever it may be. But try them first if you need to, guys, but give them a crack because some of them are absolute gems.
Peachy Assam Latte just always reminds me of Strawberry Up and Go, which is just... I love that note. It's such a nice, thick, smooth, sweet note. And it's got that muesli in there. I love that whiskey. But it's as you said, Alex, like it's just getting over that hurdle of it's a New World whiskey. It's really young. It might be a little bit out of budget for some people, but it's honestly so good.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I got taught, again, I'm going back to the first bar manager I worked for. She was phenomenal, but I was raised in a Scottish family, so I had certain ideologies as well. And when I first got to work for her and I said I didn't like American whiskey, she goes, well, what? It's made from grain, water, yeast, put in a barrel. It's all the same fucking shit. So as long as it tastes good, that's all that matters. And that's the way she spoke to me about it.
That's true.
Is this yesterday's birthday girl we're talking about?
It is, yes.
All right. That I can imagine exactly how she said it. And I can see it.
And she would do regular trainings with me with 15 glasses in front of me that I've not seen her pour. So I need to do blind tasting to understand what the flavors are of things that I'd said I hadn't liked, just to make me understand that I was wrong. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Joey.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Joey.
And it's one of the most incredible things that I've ever experienced. But yeah, that line sticks in my head all the time. It's whiskey if it's made from grain, water, and yeast. That's it. That's whiskey.
True.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
whether you like it or you don't.
26.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thankfully, 26 is a Scottish whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no excuses, people.
However, playing with flavours, no comment because both work, but I'm definitely leaning to Italian Blood Orange on this one.
Ooh.
I think it's like
Okay.
it's a complementary thing. They don't necessarily line up the same when you side by side the flavour notes as the ginger and stuff, but they complement really well because it adds in what that whiskey doesn't have in, as opposed to the earlier whiskies where it's like an amplification of an underlying flavour theme sort of thing. If you know what I mean. Contrasting flavours.
Contrast flavours, and
that's it.
Contrasting flavours is like, that's like the veteran way to do it. So your way around drinks, and you can contrast flavours and pull off things like that. So, woohoo!
Yeah.
I'm going to try that, Alex.
It works.
I like the idea of a 26 with more orange in it, though. I've always loved the waxy orange element that you find on this distillery. So
that's it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's it. Because the weight of that spirit can stand up to a mixer really well. Like I I'm sure it matters in a mixologist way that I don't understand. But like when you have some thinner whiskies and you have mixer, it's like, well, that just kills it way more. It's like too integrated. I'm losing everything about it. But then, you get like a really good weight of spirit, more viscosity. It kind of can hold up a bit. And yeah, it's the weight of this works.
Yeah.
All right.
So we,
How about we move on to
pronto.
our... Yeah.
Toronto Pronto.
Also, while we're pouring that one out, just a quick shout out to Patrick, who's on the other side of the world,
I know.
enjoying
How
a
good is
hot
that?
cocoa.
Love
Patrick,
Nice.
there might be some room for a little dram in the hot cocoa, potentially, as long as you don't have to go to work later.
The Toronto Pronto in the hot cocoa would work pretty well, I'd say.
The river salts.
Yeah.
It's not even Canadian whiskey, mate. Far out. I came here for this.
I know. I did specify that to avoid confusion.
It's
Please,
like
people,
marmalade
read
matured
the Outturn.
cognac wasn't cognac. I know things.
Wasn't it?
tasted like it. It was delicious.
Looked like it.
Right,
look.
Toronto Pronto, not off track.
Toronto Pronto. That's Adam there with the little bottle.
Wait, hang on.
No, you're flipping mirrors.
No, hang
mirroring
on.
Screens. What are you
Don't
doing?
you worry. There we go.
What's he doing, everyone? He's gone dark. What's this?
No, don't worry.
Well, while he does this, I'll say that we did do a video on this one. It is on YouTube as well. Talking about this whiskey, because we don't see these casks very often. These River Salts wine casks. From the southeastern part of France, on the kind of edge of Spain. It's a white muscat style wine from the River Salts region. He wants to come back in.
I don't know. I don't know what he thought he was doing.
I'm still not back. Hang on, I'm gonna leave.
For members who are watching this live, have a guess at what Adam is possibly doing, because we're unclear on it. It's probably something to do with the video. Is he going to get more mixer? It's a choose your own adventure. Vote now in the chat.
Well, that's what I need to do. I'll take a run over to the service station and try and get some chocolate ice cream for this one.
Got to
Mate,
bring
that
snacks
is-
time we hang out, guys, because you guys are making me so hungry throughout this.
No, it happens when you start talking pairs, doesn't it, Trish? Like you go into like, oh, this will pair well with this, and then your brain goes, oh, but wouldn't it with this, and you could add some cheese in, or you could add some fruits and stuff in, and then the world's your oyster with that. Actually, oysters, that would be good. Let's get some oysters.
He's back. Are you ready?
I'm back. I try to mirror, and it just turned the camera off. So you know what? I'm never going to try that again. Just imagine this, but flipped.
Yeah,
You can use your
Just
imagination.
go back to where we were like 2 minutes ago and
You
pretend
guys
that didn't happen.
enough 33s coming through. Yeah.
There is a lovely crop of these too, Lachie, just onto the River Salts comment about these casks in 41s. And I think sometimes 41 in a fortified or in a sherry or in a wine has potentially been considered a little bit hot sometimes, or on occasion has probably been a bit hot and would have benefited from a little dilution and things. But like, however they're doing these is nailing the balance for me with this cask.
Well, again, it's that white muscat, so it's still got a bit of that fresh fruit acidity because it is a white grape. It's not been, and it's a fortified wine. It's not a sun ripened wine. So you are starting to get, I guess a bit more sweetness out. Think of it more like sauternes,
Yeah, it's like sauternes, but it's that
It's got a bit more
materially
depth.
less sweet, so it keeps
Yeah.
the depth of the because sometimes sauternes can be a sauternes cask can be a bit too domineering and overshadow the spirit character. But
See,
these don't.
Sauternes is one of my favorite spirits and distillery wines and wine casks to be utilized for whiskey when it's used properly. And 41 is one of my favorite distilleries. And if you've ever visited me when I was at Whiskey and Helmet, you would know that. Because I absolutely love Sauternes casks. I absolutely love this distillery. and seeing this spirit come through, it's just taking that. It's got a bit more richness, a bit more stickiness to it.
It's kind of like it's already got a mixer in it, just a tad, if you know what I mean. It's like it's adding this
like
element to the 41 spirit. Yeah.
I understand that.
It's got like it's sorry, I was just gonna say it's got like a I don't know if anyone used to have, this might just be like a old Greek school thing, but anyone used to have honey from like these sticks and you just like
Oh no, I know what you're
up.
I know what you're talking about.
I
didn't have them, but I know
have
exactly what
those?
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All right. So like, yeah, we used to go to the Geelong Monastery in school every now and then, and we'd buy from the gift shop these like sticks of honey. They were essentially straws with honey stuck in them, and you just like sort of suck them up. I'm just gonna stop doing this on cam now. And the flavor notes kind of remind me of this on the palate, because it's like that. It's not quite like a Manuka honey, but it's like a certain type of, I don't want to say cheaper
more like
honey,
those
but it's like
Capilano honeys in the
slightly
supermarket
more
kind of thing, and a little bit more granulated honey. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I agree.
It is funny. Look at the color; is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
have a look at the color. You have to reverse this one.
I was going to say it's got this almost like if you would put maple syrup in Earl Grey tea. That's what I get off it.
Okay. I'm not a tea drinker,
Yeah.
but I can imagine it.
That's what I get out of it. It's just this like Earl Grey tea, maple syrup.
I definitely get the maple syrup part for sure. Yeah.
I understand why they call it Toronto Pronto now.
Yep.
But I think
who's naming these,
maple
by
syrup?
the way?
Very drunk society paddlists, I assume.
Yeah. No, they're experts that go through palate
that's right.
recalibration.
Sorry,
every
Olaf.
2 to 3
You're
months.
probably not drunk, mate. You're fine.
They-
You're probably sober that day. Don't worry about it. My bad.
but you can definitely tell how late in the day some of these have been named sometimes.
Yep.
Well, I feel like it's I think flavor notes definitely get a bit more ridiculous the later in the day. But from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, the names themselves come up at a
It's
later
a combo,
time.
actually. So the
Some will be
chair
named
of the panel.
immediately.
Yeah, that's right. Chair of the panel makes a big call on this. So the name is usually like a distillation of the notes. The notes are compiled from everyone. Chairman does the compiled notes and then kind of pulls the sentient bit out for the name. But then sometimes I'm told there's a bit of a rogue element in there, and a chairman will go, "Oh, it's got to be this. It's the first thing here. It's got to be that." And that will make it through, which I think is often the case with names like Blackadder's Cosmic TARDIS, for example, which is not pulled out of any combination of any flavour note ever. It's someone's amazing imagination gone wild.
Or riding a duck bareback up Mount Etna.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was absolutely just
My favourite of all time, which I've said a lot of times probably on these things, is
Here we go.
skunk, roadkill, and whiskey flavoured condoms.
I was about to say so whiskey flavored condoms and skunk roadkill. 66 dot.
That's I don't know. That's definitely derived out of flavor notes.
That was
Very
probably-
late in the day.
Someone lived that.
Correct.
That was
They're
probably
usually
what,
the peated ones,
2002,
so, yeah.
I think, from memory. That one. It was early doors.
It was quite early, yeah.
Yeah. But I remember,
Oh,
I've always wanted to taste that whiskey.
100%. I missed it at auction one time. Like someone else was the same
Naturally.
early level as me. It went for way over what the stats of that whiskey should be, because clearly
I'm
someone's
sure it
hunting
did,
the name.
That's a collector's item, that one.
100%.
The winner doesn't even actually drink whiskey.
What do we think?
So what do we think for this one? Because I'm sort of leaning towards the ginger, to be
Yeah.
honest. Because I feel like it's already got a lot of sweetness, and it sort of needs that a different kind of sweetness, that more tart note of the ginger to mellow it out. But
I've got the same way.
Please.
Oh, sorry, Lachie, just with my uneducated brain, I've got the same way, but I want to amp up the spice level I'm getting on it, because I quite like the oaky kind of bit of it. So
Okay.
I'm going to go, boom, let's get some ginger in, and then I've got the maple syrup and a hell of a lot of spice and ginger. That's my plan. Sorry.
Well, Before we move on to Trish, who's probably the more educated of all three of us, I was going to say this is the first one that I honestly couldn't make a choice on this. I think that it could work perfectly either way. It's just down to what you would prefer to accentuate. You want to accentuate, I guess, the oak spice and the spirit with the ginger ale, or you want to go right into the wine element with the blood orange. That's where I was
Couldn't
going.
have said it better myself, actually. I love that. You can really pull different flavors. I have tried it with both. And I think both are gorgeous, but yeah, they pull very different things. I'm thinking like, real summer drinking. So that spritz occasion, really seeing this work with that, sort of wine barrel influence with the blood orange soda. It definitely pulls it out, and it really makes it like a really nice, light, bright aperitif, which is it's so crazy, like how the mixer can make such a huge difference on this whiskey.
I've just found something I never thought about before on the immediate previous one, which is trying to guide my thoughts on this one. I never really thought about breathing of whiskey after you put mixer in, and I did the 26.208 with both, and I liked the blood orange. I thought it complemented what I wanted. I've gone back after time, and I think actually like the dry ginger with the 26 is growing on me now, and I think it can only be time, and so it's like, well, that would make sense. You've got whiskey side by side and they breathe, even with the mixers in. I think it's changing my preference.
And carbonation will play a factor in that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Letting it sit for a while, letting that carbonation dissipate. Carbonation changes your perception of flavor. So it makes things taste less sweet as well. So if you do let that carbonation dissipate, you will get different flavor profiles. Absolutely.
It also creates a slight tart taste. It's called carbonic acid, right? So that also dries your palate out. And that's also why people prefer different soda companies for that same reason. I tend to lean to, well, as you well know, Trish, I love Fever Tree because that's the one I wanted for when I was at Whiskey and Ailment. And I just love the sodas, but certain ones work for certain reasons, and certain companies do certain things in different ways. So you have different carbonation profiles within soda companies. Think of if you've picked up a big bottle of Schweppes soda and you've opened it, it's exploded. It's just so heavily carbonated, and the bubbles are about almost 2 millimeters big. They're enormous bubbles. It's such a challenge for your palate to understand that. But if you go to something that is a bit more delicately carbonated with different pressure levels and absorption levels, you'll have a different experience.
Exactly right. And Fever Tree is the very highly carbonated mixer, but because the bead is so fine, you're not going to have those experiences that you would when you open something in a big PET bottle, where you have something that makes you burp and then goes completely flat because the carbonation is not integrated into the liquid. It's my favorite thing about Fever Tree. Like, it is carbonated but very fine bead. And my favorite fact about carbonation is when you have something that's highly carbonated, your brain registers it in the pain receptors of your brain, just like you would spice, and so it releases endorphins, and that's why we're all just having a bubbly time. I'm sure it's
Sure, that's not the morning after, Trish. That's when my pain receptors are activated from
the morning after the Fever Tree ale, because when I was a kid, my nanny used to give this to me, like ginger ale, to like soothe your stomach. So if you are hungover, I still use this as medicine.
Smash
and
a
the bubbles
couple
make you feel good. So good hangover cure, guys.
No,
have it in the night, have it in the morning.
That's really interesting. And
Drew McKinney.
I was just going to say that makes perfect sense.
Sorry,
and sorry,
Alex,
I like to think of wine similarities as well. But yeah, like talk about bead refinement on like the best quality champagnes and stuff. I guess that's the same with Fever Tree, and it's the same that translates through to carbonation in whiskey. Well, as in when you've added carbonated mixer, you want that really refined to not just drown out other flavour and
well, that's the
only
difference
have
between
carbonation.
that's the difference between old champagnes and modern bubbly wines and things like pet nats and stuff. The carbonation levels are treated differently because they've had more or less time to integrate. These are the things that change, right? But I've been wanting to get to this comment, which I'm pretty sure that Adam's also trying to get to.
Yeah, my lord.
with a
Look
charred
at it. Go,
Morton
Lachie,
Bay
go.
bug and diced daily and ginger. I'm
Daikon, he's clarified. I think I
Daikon.
agree with you,
Oh.
mate. Daikon is dead right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
daikon and ginger. Yeah. Oh, I'm so hungry.
Morton Bay
though.
bugs.
Please. And I was thinking about fish
Morton
earlier
Bay
today.
bugs.
Oh,
Cannot
Mor-
wait.
Morton Bay bugs are the best.
so good. Just seafood, like just a
Because it's
seafood.
warm. We all want it. We're talking about
I
champagne, fever tree, Moreton Bay bugs. Where's the beach and the seaside? Bring it on.
It looks like
yeah,
it's
no.
behind Trish. Look at
Stepping
that.
up. It's better than mine. I had to take my distracting volts off, and now I look like I'm in the Bat Cave. This is all very depressing at this end. Like, need some more light.
You got to do the meme now. It's like
I'm not very funny, and I can't make jokes. You know.
Actually, speaking of seafood, just before this, before I started setting up for this, I just did a little bit of grocery shopping across the road, and I saw that they had just put a new fresh tub out of cooked prawns. So I was just like, I need to stack the snack before we get into this. Give me a handful of prawns, and that's what I've had before this.
Oh, so boozy.
just say
Yeah.
cooked
Straight in,
prawns.
mate.
Like they're already cooked.
Yeah,
And you just eat them
Oh,
there.
no,
I
I ate
assume.
one.
Adam's
Right.
thinking about where he's going immediately after this.
I mean, arguably you can. I have seen my father fit a full unshelled prawn into his mouth, but you know.
That
That's
feels like
another-
don't
that's
try
a
this at
story
home,
for another
like,
time.
Make sure you're an expert. Don't go to the supermarket and mung whole prawns. But you know,
Please drink responsibly.
Let's move on to our next whiskey, our final whiskey.
This one's for you,
Alright.
Betty.
We have always got to do a peated one to finish off. We're going into the 53.439 Saline Smoky Samphire.
Just another killer refill cask 53.
Now, for those who know what samphire is, and I'm sure most of you do, it is a coastal sea succulent that's used in a lot of cuisine and cooking around the world. It's grown in many, many countries. We also have our own native variants here in Australia that are called under other names, but it's usually really salty, green, pairs really well with cooked fish, and pairs really well, in my experience, with Distillery 53. Wow.
oh, it's one of the nice vanillic 53.
Almost
So there's
sounds
a
like-
lovely vanilla on it.
One of my favorite quotes about this distillery is that this distillery should be called Mr. Consistent because you always know what you're going to get. And even in between single casks from different bottlers and the distillery itself, you always get something so consistent from it. With
You
one
pull it out of a
exception-
blind lineup every time when you
yeah,
like.
I know. That's why blenders love it. It's why it's so prolific. It's why it's the largest distillery in Islay. It does its job so well. And I've always gotten things like peanut brittle, almond butter, butterscotch, and again, going back to the notes that I always find from growing up on a coastal steel and coal town, coal soot, sandstone, hot sand, walking onto a beach on a 40-degree day.
Oh,
Trish,
yeah.
you would know that smell. You know, you could smell
Yeah,
the
that's a
sand.
good note.
Yeah. And you know the smell of the because you could where my dad lives at the moment in Wollongong, you can smell the train tracks because of the freight trains going in and out. They're so heavy that
Ooh.
there's iron sparks always flying around in the air, and it just smells like this iron spark thing. And that's what I always get off this distillery.
That is what gives you the superpower to eat whole prawns. We've solved it.
Mhm.
We've blown this thing wide open.
In the supermarket.
I have actually eaten a whole unshelled prawn before.
Rite of passage in Wollongong, mate.
No, when you have a chef for a father, that's what you do. He's like, no, you just eat it this way. That's what you do. I was the weird kid who ate you peel the mandarin and eat it, eat the peel as you peeled it. Yeah,
Oh,
Do you eat a kiwi
wow.
fruit with the skin on? Some people do
sure
that.
do. That's the only way to do it.
No,
Well,
you can take the skin
you
off.
can if you want, but like, you know.
I can fit the entire thing in my mouth at once.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
Let's be serious.
Again, quickly on Toronto Pronto to cap off on my two. I'm going dry ginger worked there. I'm jumping back. I think that definitely worked the best. Well,
Did you
no,
jump in
as
a
in
blood
dry
orange?
ginger worked on that. So I think with this, I'm just going to go the blood orange because I love the idea of a vanilla Mr. C with some orange in it. I'm going complementary. Get some salt, get some briny niceness with a little bit of with orange, I think. But let us know how you're doing it, guys, at home.
It's also worth noting that 4 out of the 5 drams of tasters tonight were in January Outturn. The 5.112 has not been released yet and will not be released for the foreseeable future, but there are only 6 bottles available online. Just 6. So, summer sips, complimentary shipping. Grab yourself a 5.112 if you enjoyed it. And Toronto Pronto Malt of the Month. There's only a handful of bottles left, or a couple
I'm
of
surprised
handfuls, I
that
should
lasted
say.
as long as it has.
So it's just Muscat River salts. Some people are either really enticed by it, or
I
they
think
think it might
41's
be
a
a little
little
bit
bit
too
of
odd.
still a sleeper, even though they are spectacular spirit. Like I reckon they don't fly off, but they never languish.
Yeah.
But they're a slower move. You know, they've got a fan
Well,
base.
they sit alongside some of my favorite distilleries from Speyside and the Highlands, like 59s as well. They sit around.
They're sleepers
And
for
people,
sure.
yeah. 36s tend to sometimes as well.
Yep.
But there's
Even
some of my
39s can languish. You know, languish still. Sorry, like they just kind of linger there and.
How many 39s out there at the moment as well?
Haven't seen a few in a while actually. Maybe when they come through, they might be snapped up for the rarity, or as in the novelty.
I mean, we saw 3. We saw 3 last year, 39s. To be, yeah. I mean, the Winter Series bottling got snapped up. The Whiskey and Almond exclusive got snapped up, but Cross Atlantic destinations, a couple left. Which is ironic because I think out of all those 3, that was probably my
I
favorite
don't
one.
want to talk about whiskey we're not having, but that is spectacular whiskey, I think. And it was like everyone missed it because it was in the festival blended thing. Do yourself a favour, abandon all those preconceptions, try it, and then you'll like it. Yeah.
Small batch single malt.
Cross
Small
Atlantic.
batch single malt.
Oh.
If you do want to hear more about that whiskey, go watch the video where me and Alex drink.
Do that for fun anyway, because by the 12th, that was a good. Do that anyway.
Yeah, that was a fantastic.
From now on,
day.
I need to film this when we do that.
But this,
together.
I am.
Oh yeah, festivals.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
what do we think, team?
This is like real sooty. It's like sooty on the palate, but like a very sweet,
nice
I
and sweet.
find.
That's why I mentioned the steelworks in Wollongong and the coal mines, because everything's so sooty, and that's just the smell. It just smells like Wollongong to me.
It's a bit of a bartender's dream, this one, I'm not going to lie. Like, I feel like there's so many things that you can use this whiskey in that would just pop. Like, so many cocktails, so many whiskey cocktails. I'm with Betty again on this. I think the ginger ale is the way to go.
I'd agree.
Yeah,
Ooh.
but we also do a ginger beer, which uses the same 3 gingers, which we distill each one individually, like the ginger ale, but we also brew the ginger root in there. So it's like real, like, spice up your life kind of vibe. So that, like, heat with that smoke, I think would just be delicious. But for now, the ginger ale, pretty damn delicious.
Yeah. I'm bucking the trend, but I think you're technically right because, Lachie, your earlier comments around the pineapple in the one that worked with the ginger, I think, are also in here. I think like the sweetness, quite a tropical thing going on here that will turn into a candied version of the sweetness in this whiskey, I think. So I'll do both.
Before we signed on, you asked me which ones I was going to pair with which, and I immediately said Toronto Pronto with the blood orange soda and the Ceylon Smoky Sam Higher with the dry ginger ale.
Nailed it.
Before it even knows the 53, I'd already picked what I was going to do. But yes, that ginger beer, the Fever Tree ginger beer, or the Distiller's Cola would work perfectly. So the Ceylon Smoky Samphire.
Smoky Cokies. Fever Tree
Smoky
Smoky Cokies.
Oh. Well, we had the Distiller's Cola on last January's virtual tasting with Fever Tree. But yeah, thought to try
I
something
I
a
think you
little bit
picked
different
very
this year.
well.
I think so too.
I'm pretty sure it was Trish. You picked very well for this one, just quietly.
Oh, it was a team effort, but I think we did really well. Very, very versatile mixes to these delicious whiskies. So nailed it. Nailed it.
The nose on this ginger ale with the 53 is
I've done
sublime.
both,
Like,
and
it
I
is
think the
so
problem
good.
with the blood orange is that it's the same thing as earlier, where it's got that they're both in there, but they're not integrating. Whereas the ginger ale one is working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd find the
Betty,
blood
you've done
orange
it
would probably
again.
get a bit lost. I'd find. I haven't tried it yet, but just in my mind, I can just see it just getting lost behind that smoke.
I don't think there's like a point to it, as in there's a better thing to have with the whiskey, and there's better things to do with the blood orange, and it's kind of like, it's not like unpleasant. It just doesn't amplify anything or really contribute to anything. I think the blood orange on that one, but ginger is good.
Drew McKinney has made a nice little point there, probably unknowingly. 5.112 plus blood orange soda mellowed is soft, seductive. Other than turning up the heat in this already central virtual chat, he's also made the great point of you can go back and try different whiskies and different combos. Some people pour out all the 30 mils at once. That's so fine. Other people try a little bit and then go back and
I do
contrast
10
and
mils
compare.
at a time.
So exactly, there you go. I usually go for the 15. I think Supper Sipper I destroyed because Alex recommended trying it with both
I've
mixes.
done all my whiskies, so I'm out.
I've done them.
I'm shocked.
They're done. I've completed whiskey now, so see you guys later.
All the whiskies for the live stream, yeah. Alex has completed whiskey so much that he's tasted Distillery
mate, I'm
170.
on to one. Well, I've gone to 1,000 already. I've done 1,000 distilleries. Can you count 1,000 distilleries? No. Exactly. No, I've been doing, to be fair, I've been doing 15 mils as well, because I've been doing both mixes with all the whiskies. So that's been fun.
Do you also just end up with a bunch of 15 mil virtual samples?
Oh, mate, yeah, I
can't do bench or something.
Yeah.
I have so many. I need to throw like a park gathering where it's just
it's
like
so good to have them when you just want like a quick whiskey, and you've got I found a sample of something I've had a while, but then you get the ridiculous. Bailey had 100%. The drawer, I had the cupboard. Like they build up, you got to get through them.
Yeah.
You should just pour them all together and make your own blended whiskey, and then use that sort of stock, a whiskey stock, to make like cocktails when your friends come over. Make
like it.
Punches and things like that.
You could even Solera that. Just keep adding like the infinity cask of a Solera. Keep them going.
Yeah.
Every new sample you get, just put another one in.
Hashtag
Solera. The Toronto Pronto with the dry ginger. I'm fascinated on this carbonation point because I'm going back to things, but like it is really good now. I reckon it's getting better. It
is really good, but I'm going to say ginger ale with the 53.439 Ceylon Smoky Samphire is so good. Like, it is so perfectly balanced. It's like it's one drink you've just poured out of a bottle.
And I think it works perfectly in equal parts as well, because I did just 50-50.
I did 50-50. Yeah.
And that's my favorite pairing so far today.
Good finisher. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's so much harmony in this glass.
Are you a fan of peated whiskey in general,
Love peated,
Trish?
Peated whiskey, yeah. I nearly went down your route and went down the crazy whiskey route when I became a bartender. I ended up doing gin, but my first distilleries, I went to Isla, I drove up through Skye, and I did whiskey distilleries, and I kind of really fell in love with that smoky flavor. It's funny, just always the most robust styles of things get me into a category. So like peated whiskey got me into whiskey, like stout got me into beer. So it's really funny. Yeah, I think the more flavor, the better. I think that's a very bartender thing, though, isn't it?
I was the same. That's
Yeah,
how I got.
absolutely.
Well, I got into whiskey quite young, but it was when I became a bartender I realized that I loved more flavor, more character. How I got into beer was Guinness and above, especially going into things like barley wines and all of that. I just loved big booze, big flavor. Just like I wanted to taste something.
Absolutely,
And
yeah. But I was
Yeah.
a smoker at the time, so also that.
and that's where we differ.
The
flavor enhancer.
best
That
of
is
the
where we
historical people always are like you go
Tri-
to an amazing tasting and then like good old Charlie McLean's out there having a cigar in the parking lot halfway through. You got to have big flavour. Whiskey's got to have big flavour.
Yeah, that has been my
Yeah. Trish, where did you start off? What's your
Mine,
origin
as in
story?
like bars.
Yeah, how'd you get into Fever Tree? Where did you start?
Well, I
What was the
really
road
started
to it?
really cutting my teeth in the industry at Gin Palace. So that's where my gin journey came from.
Staple.
And then, the gin boom kind of happened around 2012. It really started to kick off. We went from having about a handful of distilleries to hundreds, and consumers really quickly learned all about gin. And so at the end of my years at Gin Palace, I was doing tasting flights, kind of like what we're doing today, but with gins and a different tonic water on the board so that they could try different pairings. And Fever Tree, and I did it with Fever Tree because Fever Tree just made everything taste so much better. And Fever Tree were like, hey, wow, you should come work for us. That's awesome. And so that's kind of how I ended up here. But yeah, I love doing tastings like this where you really get to explore the flavor beyond what's already in the glass and come up with amazing pairings and occasions and transform your favorite spirit. So yeah, that's the short version.
Beautiful. I think this is a killer pairing. I think this might be my favorite pairing of the evening.
I think it is.
Just quietly.
That ginger ale with that Ceylon Smoky Samphire. I mean, I think the spicy and dry, the 26 would be perfect with the Fever Tree Lemonade. That's, even though we don't have it with us, that's where I think I would go with that. I think that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Drew's gone
That's right.
massively off menu here, which we love. And he's pairing other... Yeah, look at him pairing cool stuff together. Throw up a few of these. 68.52. Where are you going, Drew? We don't have that, mate.
Some Boilermakers there.
Drew's gone absolutely rogue.
It's good because you've got enough mixer now. You can, if you've got stuff at home, you've got some society bottles you've been thinking might work with a mixer. Like, there's enough mixer. Go and experiment. Put it up in our group. Like, put it up on Facebook. Tell us what you had. What worked better than the ones on the lineup tonight? If there was like a amazing standout, like let us know because there's no right or wrong with this, right? It's what you like.
No, and we encourage experimentation. So Alex is bang on. Show us your highballs. Even if there's a different a mixer you want to try, a different Fever Tree mixer, just go out, grab it.
There's
have a
never
try.
a wrong answer.
We all love to see it. Absolutely not. There's only what you enjoy. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
I'm going to buy some chocolate ice cream after this. I will put a photo up in a group chat later on.
If anyone wants to send me pictures of them doing SMWS
I think
whiskey
I've got
with amazing mixers, do it. If you buy other whiskey, don't send it to me. There'll be other people you can talk to about that. Show me some society pairing, Tony, please. Sorry, Adam, mate. I'm just calling it.
Fuck you, Alex.
I don't want to see you Glenfiddich 12 pairings, all right? I mean, I love you. You're all good people, but keep that to yourself.
I'm just going to minimize him for a second.
Wrap it up.
I think my favourite, I'm going to buck the trend just a bit. I actually think my favourite pairing over some time, because I've got all my glasses everywhere, is Toronto Pronto with dry ginger. I've just gone. It's right. It was a 50-50-ish ratio. It's just the whiskey still shines through at that ratio, which I love that whiskey, like for all the reasons we talked about. And the dry ginger is just adding a crystallization or a candied caramelization thing to the flavors in it. And so it's kind of like almost turning into burnt caramelized maple syrup, and I'm into it. But everyone's different.
I'm getting that off the empty glass. It's a bit like it's just pancakes, maple syrup with. If you were to put sushi picked ginger on top of it.
Yeah, it's the really, really like
Yeah.
intense ginger and like a crystalline sugar, like you'd get off a maple syrup on that's sort of crystallized a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, it's really really cool on the empty glass as well. But I mean,
I'm just going to quickly share with you all a text message I received from one Drew McKinney, which is him enjoying his 68.52 Death
good
by
setup,
Chocolate.
Drew.
Again, reverse
That's
it.
good.
But
That
how's
works.
that?
Yeah.
Like, we love to see it. Because further
Put it
on
back
to
up.
Alex's note before, let me just
We'll
zoom in
flick you back
properly.
to big screen, mate. We want to see Drew's lineup. Yeah, beautiful.
There we go. Love it, Drew. Thank you for sharing. Also, again, if any of you feel like sharing your virtual live stream setups, please do post it in the group. Post it on Instagram. Email us. Email myself. Email Lachie. Email info@smws.com.au.
Only
Don't email
SMS,
Alex.
mate.
And we'll share it.
Also, I'm useless, so email Adam anyway. But
we'd love to see anything you guys do and have fun with. That's what we're all about. It's
Anything. Exactly right. Anything and everything SMWS. We'd love to see it. We'll love to share it. We just love to see our members enjoying it. And with that, I think that's
great. That's
a
great.
good
Thanks,
note.
Trish.
it's time.
I think that's just a really good, just for
Thank you
even
so
for me
much,
as like a
Trish.
non-bartender background on this stuff. I know like Lockie's obviously got the background, Trish you do too, but like, and you know, Adam and I just come at it from flavour perspectives and stuff. But it's really cool to have these tastings where you talk about some of the more slightly mixologist scientific stuff around pairings, because we all love pairings. And sometimes I think mixers get a little bit missed in the whole thing around, oh, just put a mixer with it, like if it needs a mixer. And it's that essential ingredient that people aren't focusing on. So it's like Lachie said, Adam said, Bailey said, it's good ingredients in, right? And so put a good ingredient with it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, just FYI, Alex, I did work at a bar.
Did you? Oh, well, I'll just shut up
Fuck
then
myself.
and go back to my never having bartended in my life.
That's fine.
I've
cool.
drunk from 1,000 distilleries, Adam.
No,
just
mate.
back off, mate.
1001 by tomorrow. Come on.
Yeah, I think tonight's gone really, really well. Thank you, Trish. I mean, we've known each other for 10 years now. Yeah.
When you're having fun.
Yeah. I just thought about that. It's been 10 years. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fantastic.
Thank you so much for
thank you,
having me,
Trish.
guys. You're just treasures, and what a laugh. So always good to hang out. But I'm bringing snacks next time because I'm so hungry
Yes.
now. I can't
Same.
even.
Yeah.
I am starving. Oh my god, I love fish.
It's Chinese New
On a
Year
Moreton Bay
Eve,
bug
mate. Go
and-
get
and
some
cooked
Chinese
prawns.
food. That's the plan.
Oh,
Yep.
LNY.
Get into it.
E.
All right.
Prawns count.
Well,
Go eat some prawns at
will
the
do.
supermarket. We'll see you next time, team.
Also, just a quick reminder for everyone, February Outturn preview is this Friday, midday Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, as well as Cask 80.32 Supper Sipper, not the one we tried, the other one. It will go on sale for public release. If you're lucky enough to go to a Burns event last Saturday, congratulations. You've tried it. You may love it. You may dislike it. That's up to you. But it is on sale this Friday, and myself and Lachie absolutely
one of the
adore
best
it.
88s I've ever tried.
Also,
I'd
it's so
actually say
good.
it's my
Is it 88 or is it 80? I think it's 80.
88.
80.32? 88.32. 88?
88.32.
Thank you. Thank you for your correction. There we go. Supper Sipper on sale this Friday. February Outturn preview. There you go.
Oh, but, well,
so many codes,
the
man.
nerds
So
in
many
the audience will
numbers.
know exactly why you confused those two. I'll say it. Glen Space Bayburn. There you go. That's why.
Yeah.
There you go. That's exactly what it was.
Sorry, Derbs. I'm naming distilleries left, right, and centre, mate. But that's what I'm doing.
I feel like Derby is okay with it as long as you
Yeah,
do
I'm
it in
not-
like a
I'm-
sneaky
yeah.
way, and then he'll
Yeah,
do the
I'm
old,
not like that.
which we appreciate.
Which were most of my pictures that weren't going to work.
That's all right, everyone. This was Lachie's first time hosting, and he did a great job. And if you tune in next month, he'll do a killer job. So
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
hopefully.
don't wait on it. February Outturn. No,
That's it.
definitely.
Keep the comments
you got
in
this. This was
socials.
great.
We
Thank
love
you
you
everyone
all.
for tuning in.
Keep the
Yeah.
comments coming on the favourite
Thank you
mixes.
all.
Thanks, Trish.
Now let's go drink some more whiskey and some more soda.
I'm going to the supermarket. See you later.
And eat fish.
All right. See you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.